Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about Claude Code. And before going into Claude Code, I'm going to show just a little background of what we're going to be talking about. So this is an app that I did that has information about different battles of World War II. And they all look the same. I have a number of battles. They all have the same look and feel. They'll have a core summary, and then these accordions that have different aspects about the battle. Has a timeline, and ChatGPT. I worked with ChatGPT to design this. I actually had a different app that I started with, had the same look and feel, but it had different categories in this section here. I said what I thought would be good for doing a battle, one on battles. Okay, and then I asked it for a table of contents for the different battles, and it came up with this. And this was, all I told it was I wanted it to have the same look and feel in terms of the color scheme. And it came up with this thing, which I think is amazing. You have different ways that you can filter it. And also has a search. And a cool thing would be, like, if you want to go through chronologically, I can put in 1939, and then I can, look at these two battles, and then go to 1940, and, work my way through the war that way. So I just thought the way that it handled this was amazing. Really neat that, like, I didn't give it any information about how to do this other than I just wanted it to link to the different battles that it created. Okay, so that's some background to this. Then what I did was I went to Claude Code and had it go, it can go into my repository and see all of these files and then figure out how it works. And I asked it to create a similar one for the Revolutionary War. And so this was Claude Code that built this. So when I did the World War II one, I did this one at a time with ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT has Codex, so it would have been possible to do something similar with Codex. But just the way that I did this was one at a time. But like once I got it all working, then I went to Claude Code, asked it to look at it, figure out how it worked, and create one for the Revolutionary War, which it did, which is this one here. And now what I've done right now, I haven't yet finished. This is what I wanted to show in this video session, is what it looks like to work with it. So I asked it to create a hub of hubs. So the hub of hubs will point to both of these hubs. So I'll be able to go to the master hub, and it should have two entries, one for the Revolutionary War and one for World War II, and then drill down into these. That's the idea. Haven't tested this yet. Okay, so I'm going to go to Claude Code, and here it is. So Claude Code, I'll go to the request. So you can see, like, it does a lot of stuff here. So here's where the conversation is. I said, I have a task where you say, okay, I did this because it was like flaky. It's really, really good when it's working, but there was some like anthropic issues to where it wasn't working. So I was like testing to see that it was good to go. It said, okay, all right, good. And then I told it I wanted it to create a hub of hubs for the two war ones. It should have the same look and feel. And I said the hubs will need to be able to link back to the hub of hubs. So if I go here, it needs to put links on these two hubs to point back to the new master hub that it will be creating. That's what I was telling it. And I said, do you have any questions? Now, this is a really, really good technique to use when you're working with AI, is ask it if it has any questions. So you give it, this will really improve your results, is if you give it some information and it doesn't know what to do, it will do stuff anyway. It won't ask questions on its own. I'm not sure why they didn't design it that way. It seems like a logical way of doing it, but they didn't. But if you ask it, do you have any questions? Then if it doesn't have any questions, it will go ahead and do the task. But if it does have questions, it will ask them, and you get a lot better results that way. And so it asked some questions. I won't go through these. I answered the questions, and then it said, okay, perfect. I'll create the military history hub and update the two ones to point back. And then it creates a checklist of the things that it's going to do. And it's really cool technology that it can do all of this. So it's got like 7 different things to do. So it's looking into the repository to see the code, so it knows how to go ahead. And then it did all the updates that it needed to do. So it needs to create the new hub, that's this one, and update the 2 previous hubs with links back to the master hub, and then it has to create links from the master hub to the war hubs, and then commit and push the changes. So that's what all of this is. It's doing all of that. And then it told me everything is ready for my PR. So the PR is a pull request. So I'll show how to do that. So they don't have this quite, at least not on the version I'm using. Maybe it's possible for different setups. Like I would imagine enterprises can probably do this all automated, but I can't do it completely automated. But there's a minimal amount to do, which is what I'll show here. So I'm going to go to pull requests. And this is in my GitHub. So I'll click on pull requests. And so sometimes it will have it already set up to where it will say that there's a pull request to work with, to merge. So what's happening here is it works on its own branch, and it doesn't, just the way that it's set up, like to protect you, it doesn't work directly on your stuff. So you have to like transfer it from where it did its work to yours. And sometimes it will have a button that will tell you that. And sometimes it doesn't. So here it doesn't. So I'll click on new pull request. And I'll pick the top one here because that's the way that it works. It'll be the one that's on top. And it's telling me it can't automatically merge. That's because I'm not on the right branch. So the branch that I want to go to is GH Pages. So GH Pages is where GitHub serves pages. And I'll show what that looks like in just a moment. And so now it says create purge request. Oh, it says can't automatically merge. I'm not sure why it's saying that, but should be fine. So I'll create pull request. Okay, and then this is showing all the work that it did. And I'll do create pull request again. And okay, so here's the problem. It says that there are conflicts that have to be resolved. Okay, and so this is going to be on the 2 web pages, the 2 hubs that it had to update the links. So I'll click on resolve conflicts. So what happens here is if you do something that's brand new, you won't have to deal with this. But when you have it update things, then you can run into this problem. So you click on Resolve Conflicts, and then accept the current change. And then accept the current change. So these are the backlinks that it did to the new hub that it created. And then that should be it, because there was 2 links. To fix, mark as resolved, commit merge. Okay. No conflicts, that's good. And then I merge it, confirm the merge. Okay, and so that is great. Now it's done the merge. I now go to actions here. And you can see that GitHub is doing the build. So while it's doing this, and this is quick, you can see it takes about 40 seconds. So while it's doing this, I'll explain a little bit how this works. So you can create a branch in your repository. It has to be named exactly GH pages. And you can create a folder. For any folder that you create, if you have a file called index.html, then when you give it a link to the folder, it will automatically serve the index.html. So what we're doing now is creating those index.htmls and getting them in the repository in the GH pages branch. So that should be done by now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the one that I just did, which is going to be, I'm going to refresh, and it's going to be called, I think it's called IS Military War Hub, I think was the name for it. And I don't see that name. I guess it just called it IS War Hub. Okay, that's fine. So this is the name of the folder it created. And this is the page that it created. Okay. And interesting. I'm interested here that it says it was 4 hours ago. So this is referencing when it actually created the page, not when I put it into my branch right now. But this is what I want to look at to see if it worked, to see what it looks like. And what I'll do is, the name is AS War Hub. So let me go here. And I'll just I'll just get rid of this REV like this, and that should work. And there it is. Okay, now I'm going to go back to where I was here that was doing the actions. And you can see when it turned green, that's how it was good to go. If you tried to click on the link before it turned green, it would give you a 404 file not found error. And you can see it took 43 seconds. So this is quite consistent in how long the build takes for this. Now I'm going to check, make sure it worked. So there's 21 battles for World War II, 12 battles for the Revolutionary War. I'll click on the button to open up the Revolutionary War. I can look at any of the battles that I want. I can go back to the Revolutionary War and go back to the main hub. Go to World War II, choose a battle, go back, go to the military history hub. And pretty cool the way that it did that. It figured out everything to put. All I told it was I wanted to have links to the hubs that I did, and it decided how to name it. You know, put the years here, have a little intro thing here, and the number of battles. This was its idea how to name this. Really, really neat technology. Really fun to work with. And that's what I wanted to cover in this session. Oh, there is something else that I wanted to mention, which was that you can have it track what it's doing to keep track of what's going on, basically. So let me do that. So Claude, all right. So I'll say, please update the session notes. All right, so it should understand what that means, and then it will do that. Let me show that. So if I go to the repository, so one of the things about the way that this works, which I think it's a bit odd, but I've gotten used to it, is the way that Anthropic has it set up is you don't create new sessions. It goes until it's like reached the limit for the session, and then it will say, okay, you're done. You need to open a new session. And then you open a new session. And Claude doesn't remember what it did in this session. So you don't want to lose your work, the context. You want it to remember what it did. So to manage that, what I do is have it write out, update like what it's done, and then it will save it to the repository. I'll just do the same process. I won't go ahead and do it. It's exactly the same thing as what I just did, but I will show the document, what the document looks like while it's updating it. Okay, so the document, it is down at the bottom, and it creates markup documents, MD documents. And I have two of them that I do, well, more than two, but two types, I guess I can say. So I have ones done for me, that's called My Notes. So that helps me to keep track of what's been done and how to communicate to Claude Code on what I want it to do. And that looks like this. So it's going to go through the workflows that I have with Claude Code, and it's telling me stuff that I want to know, so I don't have to remember it all. And then for the session, it's going to update this session notes, and you can see how nice these look. Looks really, really nice. And these I can just look at, in the repository itself. And when I need to start a new session, then what I'll do is I'll just give it this information, and then it'll be ready to go to start the next session. Okay, well, I hope you found that useful, and thanks for watching. Until next time.